guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of RQ10-100. Now we are wrapping up this series in terms of the big six in countries. We've only 2 countries left to go. The first one is Japan and the next one is France. Obviously today's episode, as you can tell from the thumbnail and the title and everything about it, we are talking about the best Japanese car, non-prize, for every RQ from 10 to 100, wherever it's applicable. Obviously there's no RQ12 because there isn't a single RQ12 Japanese car. That's actually crazy. You know, Japan has like, well, you can't really see. Oh yeah, you can see 73 commons, right? Not a single one of them is RQ12, which I think is just absolutely absurd. But anyway, much like the German episode, the final list, which came from the RQ10 to 100 German episode, was a combination of my knowledge and a knowledge of a German guru, which was Oliver. Obviously, Oliver, he knows the stats for those German cars. He's a German collector. So I'm using the same format for Japanese cars. This list is going to be a combination of my knowledge as from what I've played in the game for the last like 4.5 years, combined with the Godzilla king of Top Drives, the Japanese sensei, and that is indeed Korn. Okay, so Korn, thank you so much for working with me together on this list. He provided a lot of his own opinions and a lot of his insights and experience, and together we're going to give you this list, which is the ultimate RQ10 to 100 best Japanese cars in the game. So without further ado, let's get into it. RQ10, we're going to start with the Suzuki K Works. Suzuki K Works, not only is it one of the best RQ10, not only is it the best RQ10 Japanese, in my opinion, I think it's the best RQ10 in the entire game. A low 0 to 60 for RQ10, great handling, performance tires, lightweight, and has medium ground clearance to boot. It kind of has everything going for it when it comes to the dry tracks, and really when you think about it, a lot of low-end common cars are standard tires. So performance tires are pretty rare, and they're pretty exclusive, and they're pretty valuable, and the Suzuki K Works is one of the best of the bunch. Moving on to RQ13 now. Now this is where Korn's insight really comes into play, because initially I was guessing the Suzuki Swift. The Suzuki Swift is a fantastic car, standard tires, great handling, and the main thing about it is really, really light. So it's a great Japanese car to use for the slalom and the G-force, but like I said, this is where Korn's knowledge and experience and, you know, his passion for Japanese cars comes into play, because the best RQ13 after discussion was actually given to the Honda EV Plus. Now, why the Honda EV Plus is because it has a fantastic off-the-line acceleration, and it beats the Suzuki Swift, the RQ13, which I just mentioned, on the twisty road and the twisty circuit. Yes, the Swift will still win on the slalom and the G-force, but then the Honda EV will win on the majority of the tracks. That's the important thing to note here. And for an RQ13 common to have 203 torque for a Japanese car is really, really impressive. Moving on now to RQ14 is the Suzuki Cappuccino. Now this car needs no introduction. Fantastic lightweight monster that handles really well with a relatively low 0 to 60 for its RQ. Now moving on to RQ15, once again I thought that it was going to be the Suzuki Servo, but we gave it in the end to the Nissan Micra. Where is the, yeah, this right here, the Nissan Micra. Now on my notes, it's just more versatile. Okay, so it has a low 0 to 60 compared to other cars. It has great handling, a very lightweight car, standard tires, and medium ground clearance. So at the end of the day, the Nissan Micra is more versatile. If you want to know more about our discussion, I'll put a clip right here because I recorded the entire thing with Korn when we were talking and discussing about what car was the best. It was like a 90-minute footage, but I'm only going to show you clips and parts of it. So Nissan Micra, and here's why.
So that one, when it's max, is 10.5. Handling is a 77. That Suzuki is 9.8 at 76, but it's low. So it's like, it's one car you do want to have because of the lightweight. It's great for slalom or karting circuit, things like that. But overall, the Nissan Micra is just a bit better to me.
So moving on to RQ16, there were 2 bangers to talk about. It was either the Nissan March Turbo, I thought it was Mac, but yeah, Nissan March Turbo K10 or the Subaru Impreza. Now we gave it to the Subaru Impreza once again because it is more versatile and it brings a lot of value to the table. Handles pretty well, front-wheel drive, standard tires, okay, medium ground clearance, and of course it is a saloon. It is also very light, coming in at under a ton for a saloon. That is actually actually very, very impressive. The Subaru Impreza is just basically what you expect from a Subaru, right? It's a standard tire, medium ground clearance car that you could use in the rain that will get you a lot of value. Now, our winner for RQ17 is going to go to the Suzuki Works. Now, this car needs no introduction. This is one of the best commons in the game. This is the best twisty common in the game. You are getting medium ground clearance, you are getting a low 0 to 60, you are getting lightweight performance, and you're getting medium ground clearance. Just a jack of all trades kind of car. Really, really good. But the main thing that makes the Works stand out is that 84 handling for an RQ17 is absolutely ridiculous. 84 handling plus medium ground clearance. That is the really important thing there. There are some 84 handling cars in the common range, but none of them are medium ground clearance and performance tires with that 0 to 60 like the Suzuki Works. Shout out though to the Nissan Wing Road Aero. This is still a really, really good car. Standard tires, also medium ground clearance, and also medium, also 84 handling. But at the end of the day, it had to go to the Works. This is one of the best commons in the entire game. Now moving on to RQ18, still the Honda beat, even though it had the RQ boost. It is still the best RQ18, 85 handling. 0 to 60 I wouldn't say is low for its RQ, but it gets the job done because of the handling and because of the weight. And then last but not least, RQ19, we're going to give it to the Nissan Almera. Now what makes the Nissan Almera so special is that, once again, medium ground clearance, standard tires, a lot of handling, and the 0 to 60 is relatively respectable. When you think about it, compared to the Mirage, yes, the Mirage has one more handling, but the 0 to 60 difference is 1 entire second. For the same RQ, that is a night and day thing. Shout out to the Nissan 260, but we decided to give it to the Almera because it is more versatile. And now moving on to RQ20, we go into the uncommon ranks. The winner is going to be the Mitsubishi Colt. We think that this is the best RQ20 Japanese car in the game because once again, much like, this is going to be a trend that you see with a lot of Japanese low-end cars. Japanese low-end cars are the ones that you want to use in the rain. Cars that you want to use in the twisty track sets. And the Colt, once again, medium ground clearance, standard tires, it handles very well. It's a really, really good car. I've had it since the first Call of the Wild, and I've already recognized since the first Call of the Wild how useful the Mitsubishi Colt is. So it's a very versatile car, once again, also very lightweight, but that is to be expected for most Japanese cars, and it definitely takes the RQ20 spot. Moving on to 21 is going to be the Suzuki Kara / AutoZam, literally the same car. One is from JPT and one is from 1993, the other from 92, I believe. Where is the AutoZam? Yeah, 92, this one's 93. Handling fantastic, 87 handling, standard tires. This one is low ground clearance, however, but it is still very lightweight. Definitely a low RQ uncommon that I want to put on the G4s and on the Slalom. Is basically a cheap version of the Mazda Units Roadster, which we will see very soon. Now moving on to RQ22, we're going to give it to the Suzuki Swift GTI. The competition here was very, very bleak. It was this or a Subaru Sumo, Honda FRV, or a Subaru Legacy that doesn't handle. So we gave it to the Suzuki Swift just because you can get the most value out of it. It's once again, like all Japanese cars, very lightweight, medium ground clearance, and it handles well. Just a bunch of nimble cars, really. RQ23 goes to the Nissan Leaf, one of the best uncommons in the game, a blossom choice, low 0 to 60, great handling, and medium ground clearance to boot. It is heavy, but that is mainly because I think it's eco-friendly, so it has the battery, whatever. But it's still a very, 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 very good car. One of the best, if not the best common for the city streets medium. Actually, no, it is the best uncommon. Sorry, not common. Best uncommon for the city streets medium, and it's a really good car to put on the hairpin road, twisty, G4s. Particularly not slalom, just because it's on the heavier side, but it still handles very well, and it has a low 0 to 60. Moving on to RQ24 is going to be the Nissan Petrol. Now I know, people are going to be mad that we didn't choose the Suzuki Mighty Boy. Look, the Mighty Boy is cool, has one of the coolest names, one of the coolest cars in the entire game, but in terms of usability, the Nissan Patrol is what we use more, okay? 4-wheel drive, all-surface tires, and 76 handling. I'm sorry, I know the Mighty Boy is cool, you want to use it, but let's be honest, this is a car that you kind of want to use for the meme, or that you kind of want to see it, beat a McLaren 12C, like the 0 to 40, 0 to 20 or whatever. But in terms of usability, in terms of how many times I can use it in an event or in clubs, the Nissan Patrol just brings more to the table because of what it is. It's a high ground clearance, 4-wheel drive off-roader with all surface tires, but also you can use it in off-road tracks with really good handling. Now moving on to RQ25, it's going to go to the Datsun Sport 2000. The main thing about the Datsun Sport 2000 is that it stands out, right? Obviously, the Sylvia Varietta and the Nissan 240SX, both of these cars, they handle really well, but they're a dime a dozen. Every Japanese car handles already, really, really well. So what makes a Datsun stand out is that it's actually a dragster Japanese car. There are not a lot of dragster Japanese cars, but the Nissan Datsun Sport 2000 is one of them. 5.6 0 to 60, if you max it out 332, is very, very impressive. Actually, when you think about uncommons in general, it is one of the lowest 0 to 60 uncommons in the game already anyway. Has no MRI, has no top speed, but when it comes to Japanese cars, you can get value out of this on the drag because of that 0 to 60. Moving on now to RQ26 is the Subaru Impreza. Needs no introduction. Medium ground clearance, standard tires, 4-wheel drive, and it handles very, very well. You're going to see a lot of Subarus that are in this list because it has that pedigree. Now moving on to RQ27 is going to be the Nissan Skyline Hardtop 2000. Now, we chose the Nissan Skyline Hardtop 2000 mainly because it's a hybrid. It's not going to win you a lot of track sets, but it's still a car that you can rely on because it will lose by 50 on a lot of track sets. Whether you put it on a twisty track set or a fast track set, it's a car that you kind of want to use to save RQ and to lose by a little. Now, for the most part, cars that lose everywhere are seen as hot garbage, but from a strategical, tactical standpoint, there are positives to take from the Skyline because the MRA for a Japanese uncommon on the Skyline Hardtop isn't the worst thing in the world. And for those that don't know, MRA means mid-range acceleration. I feel like I need to explain this in every video, but that's good because that means that I'm getting new viewers that don't know much about the game, that want to learn more about the game. So that it is. Mid-range acceleration is basically how fast your car accelerates from 60 to 100. Medium ground clearance, relatively low 0 to 60, and it has decent handling. Like I said, this car is a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, but you can use it because it will save you RQ and only lose by very little. Also, in terms of its competition, there isn't much to choose from. Maybe an honorable mention for the Nissan Terrano, great car for clubs, but besides that, I don't really use it that much. Moving on, and I know, everyone wants to talk about, Honda Clarity has like 100 MRA, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it has 100 MRA, that's because it's able to hit its top speed. Well, once again, it's 100 top speed and 9.90 to 60. It's still not impressive. The handling is good though, it is standard tires and it is medium ground clearance, but the MRA, the good MRA and the Clarity thing, to be completely honest with you, that's more of like a gimmick, honestly. You can't really use it anywhere. It's not like this, you're gonna put this car in a test bowl or a 1 mile or a half mile. It's gonna hit 100 and it's just gonna stay there. But yeah, moving on to RQ28. Now this was kind of tough. Okay, it wasn't tough because the Bluebird is Blossom Choice, but the Micra Super Turbo is also Blossom Choice because this is the best uncommon for city streets small. That being said though, nothing can trump the Nissan Datsun Bluebird 1300 SS rally car. This thing is just insane. It is just in its own class. Rear wheel drive, off-road tires with medium ground clearance. This is the Lancia 037 for uncommons. This is a fantastic car, and on top of that, it is a saloon. Yup, and it's even a 2-seater somehow. But yeah, really, really fantastic car, super versatile, super useful, everything you want in the perfect car, and the Datsun is one of the most perfect uncommons in the game. Just use it in the right places. RQ29, the top of uncommons goes to the Mazda Units Roadster RS Limited, 90 handling, standard tires, lightweight car. What more can you expect from a Japanese car? Now moving on to the rares. We started with RQ30 is the Nissan Wing Road. Same thing here, medium ground clearance, handles well, 4-wheel drive, standard tires. You're gonna get a lot of value out of these, okay? Anytime it's wet, anytime it's twisty, you'll get any kind of value from these kind of cars because they have, the perfect recipe. The perfect formula, right? 4-wheel drive, handling, medium ground clearance, standard tires. Now moving on to RQ31 is going to be the Suzuki Swift Sport. Now RQ31, there wasn't a lot to choose from. There was a small debate between the Suzuki Swift and the Subaru Legacy. But the thing about the Legacy is that why would you use the Subaru Legacy when you can use the Nissan Wing Road for 1 RQ cheaper? We decided to give it to the Suzuki Swift Sport because it has performance tires and medium ground clearance. And when you look at the rest of the rares, none of the RQ30s can provide that performance with, medium ground clearance. So we gave it to the Swift because there wasn't any competition for its RQ and below. So where was I? RQ31. Now we move on to 32. RQ32 is going to go to, once again, the Suzuki Swift. Medium ground clearance, it handles quite well. You can get value out of it, but the main thing about it is because most of the other RQ32 Japanese cars kind of suck. Moving on to RQ33 now, we're going to give it to the Honda Crx Vtec. 84 handling on this, a relatively decent off-the-line acceleration and medium ground clearance to boot, and once again, it's a very lightweight car, just slightly over a ton. RQ34 is going to go to the Mazda 3. Now, according to Korn, the Mazda 3 is the best Japanese front-wheel drive, standard tire, city streets car. There you go. There you heard it first. 84 handling when you max this thing out. Front wheel drive, medium ground clearance, standard tires. It genuinely is a useful car. I do have it, but I have to say I was a bit surprised. I thought that we were going to agree on the Nissan Terrano, or maybe make an argument for the Mazda RX-7 convertible because it has a really good MRA. So maybe honorable mentions to those two cars. But like I said, according to Korn, this is the best Japanese front wheel drive, standard tire, city streets wet car. So because of that, it is getting the award for RQ34. Moving on to 35 is the Mazda MX-5. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the only thing I can say about this is that this thing actually won me a prize car recently. It won me the Koenigsegg Chimera, for crying out loud, right? The Mazda MX-5, really small RQ, really big value, lightweight car, amazing handling, fantastic little beast. Also, RQ36 is going to go to the Mazda MX-5 BBR Turbo. Now, why the BBR Turbo and why not the Subaru Impreza? Don't get me wrong, the Impreza is fantastic, but here's the thing. For the Subaru Impreza, it's a fantastic car in its RQ, one of the best for RQ36, but if I can use an RQ38 Stagea, I would use an RQ38 Stagea. The thing about the Mazda MX-5 BBR Turbo that sets it apart from the Subaru is because if I can use an RQ38 Mazda RX-7, I would still choose the MX-5 BBR Turbo. So the BBR Turbo, you just get more value out of it from its RQ. You get a lot of value out of the Impreza, for sure. One of the best. It is even Blossom Choice. But the BBR Turbo is just that much better. Really lightweight, and it handles incredibly well. So because of that, RQ36 goes to the Mazda MX-5 BBR Turbo. 37 is going to go to the Mitsubishi Asx. Amazing handling, all surface tires, and it is very lightweight. The only thing weighing it down is the fact that it's front wheel drive, but aside of that, you're getting 86 handling for a high ground clearance, all surface tire car that is very light. And finally, RQ38, well, not finally, penultimately, but yeah, this is the RX-8 that I was talking about. See, I would choose the BBR over this, but I wouldn't choose the Subaru Impreza over the Stagea. You see what I mean? So that's why the BBR won. But the Nissan Stagea X4, I mean, one of the best. One of the absolute best rares in the game, let's be honest here. Okay, 85 handling, 4-wheel drive, standard tires, medium ground clearance, 5-seater, and it's in a state. So many little niches in this amazing little thing, and it's won me so many challenges when it comes to JPT events. And this is going to be one of the most useful cars that you're going to need to use in the Nissan Championships. The Nissan, what is it? The Celsonic Championships? Not the Celsonic, it's the championships going on right now. I don't even know what the name is. But the Nissan Stagea is absolutely wonderful. One of the best rares in the game. Definitely gets 38. And finally, the Subaru Exiga crossover is going to be 39. Now, this one was a bit of a debate that I have with Korn, because Korn said the Nissan Sylvia. The thing with the Nissan Sylvia is that when it comes to a hybrid performance RQ39, I'd rather use the Volvo or the Lotus Elise 1.6. But for the Subaru Exiga, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to rare all-surface tire cars. What makes this so special is because it handles well and it is light. And because of those two reasons, along with the 4-wheel drive, the all-surface tires, and the high ground clearance, I give it to RQ39. This is my go-to all-surface tire rare. Now, moving on to the super rares now, RQ40, we're going to start off with the Colt. Amazing handling, medium ground clearance, front wheel drive, and very lightweight. RQ41, we are going to give it to the Nissan Terrano rally car. 4-wheel drive, off-road tires, and it handles incredibly well. If you want to beat a Dodge Ram Charger, use a Nissan Terrano rally car. As it kind of hurts me to say that, but it's also very true. RQ42 goes to the Mazda Mx-5 GT. Really great handling, decent MRA. This was one of the best Japanese super rare RQ savers until JPT when they brought forth the Subaru BRZ-TS, which wins RQ43. I think that was a pretty good segue. I was pretty proud of that. Really good handling, decent MRA, low 0 to 60, and it is a pretty lightweight car. This and the Jota go hand in hand. They have the same stats when you look at at it, but the BRZ, it is very special. It is just slightly better. Now moving on to RQ44, it is going to go to the Nissan Bluebird Sss Atessa. Great handling, four-wheel drive, standard tires, and it has traction control and ABS. Now compare that to its direct competition in the Bluebird 2.0 SSS. Yes, lower 0 to 60, but it handles worse and no traction control, no ABS. That is a no-no for rain. You want traction and ABS when it's applicable, so the Nissan Bluebird definitely is a value to get. Now, moving on to 45, the best 45 in our opinion is the Subaru Legacy. Now, although it had a massive nerf, it still is the best 45 when you only look at 45s. It is still the best handling car here. It is still four-wheel drive. It is still standard. I mean, the best handling car for a four-wheel drive standard medium ground clearance car. And the 0 to 60, although very weak, it has the MRA, which is quite irrelevant, but the main thing about it is that traction control, ABS, handles four-wheel drive standard. I know it got a massive nerf, but it's still the best 45, which is kind of funny. Moving on to 46 is the Suzuki Ignis. One question, if there's any like off-road slalom, especially in the snow, the Suzuki Ignis is what you want to use. Four-wheel drive, all-surface tires, it handles well, 83 handling when you max it out, and it is incredibly light. Honestly, when it comes to four-wheel drive all-surface tire cars, if it is light, it is going to be very useful because it's not going to sink into the ground like other 2-ton cars in the category. So 46 goes to the Suzuki Ignis. 47, I'm going to give it to the Nissan Pulsar. Now, Cord, obviously when you're watching this video, you would know we had a discussion between the Honda Civic and the Nissan Pulsar. We had a 10-minute discussion between these two cars, but eventually we did the testing, or Cord did the testing, and the Pulsar does beat the Civic on the majority of the track says. It was almost a landslide. I think the Civic only beat the Pulsar on a 1 mile, something like that. So yeah, the Pulsar is what you want. It just handles a little better. It's just a little lighter. It has the hatchback niche, and it's a 5-seater at the same time. And it's just a really good car. Medium ground clearance, fantastic value for your buck. The Nissan Pulsar takes 47. Though, shout out to the Subaru Forester. The only reason why I didn't choose it is because for 1 RQ more, you can go with the Subaru Legacy, which is actually a joint winner. I don't do this very often in the series, but these two cars, the Frontier Attack and the Levorg, are just too game-changing to axe one out. So I decided to give the award to both 48s, the Levorg and the Frontier Attack. This is basically a super rare Colorado. Okay, think of it that way. This is a super rare Chevrolet Colorado, and this is a super rare version of the Subaru Legacy BW, which you will also see later in the video. Four-wheel drive, standard tires, medium ground clearance, and the best handling of the bunch. And then we have the the Nissan Frontier Attack. Once again, four-wheel drive, off-road tires, high ground clearance, and the best handling of the bunch in its niche. Now moving on, shout out to the Nissan Cherry Coupe, by the way, really good car, but you know, those two are the best. Moving on to RQ49, it's gonna go to the Datsun 240Z rally car. And once again, shout out to the Nissan 300ZX. This is your go-to dragster Japanese car. If you ever get this, 332 it. I know it has decent handling, but 332 it. Just promise me you're 332 it. This thing is actually ridiculous on the drags for Japanese events. But of course, we had to give it to the Datsun 240Z. This is a mainstay in anybody's garage, a team favorite for sure. Great handling, not as great as it used to be, but still rear-wheel drive, giving it a traction bonus. It is lightweight and it is medium ground clearance. Now we move on to ultra rares. We saw the Nissan Pulsar. This is a car that you want a 323. I know most ultra rares you want a 233, but this is a car you want a 323. You want to know more about that? Check out my ultra rare guide. The playlist is in my channel. But obviously, amazing handling and medium ground clearance, relatively lightweight as well. Moving on to RQ51, we're going to give it to the Mazda CX-9. I mean, obviously, four-wheel drive standard tires, has that SUV niche at the same time, and it handles very well. 52 goes to the Subaru Levorg, but a shout out to the Suzuki Kizashi. Still fantastic. It still has its own niches because it's a slalom, and when it comes to what is being the better club car, in terms of versatility, the Suzuki Kizashi is actually better. But overall, the best 52 RQ goes to the Subaru Levorg VN, just because it handles a little better. 87 handling, four-wheel drive, standard tires, traction control, and ABS. You cannot beat that. All that for RQ52. Now moving on to RQ53, we're going to give it to the Nissan Micra. It's a bit of a hybrid car, a great combination of great handling and a low 0 to 60 combined with a lightweight performance, or lightweight. lightweight, I guess. RQ54 goes to the Nissan Sylvia Nismo, one of the sexiest Japanese cars for the ultra ranks, in my opinion. Great handling, a low 0 to 60 at a relatively, it's a relatively high top speed for an ultra rare because it's above the average 155 that you see with all German cars. But for a Japanese car, 160 is actually high, so that is also very, very impressive. Now moving on to RQ55, we're gonna give it to the Infiniti Q50s. It's a saloon, it's a 5-seater, but the main thing about it is, along with the 5-seater and the saloon niches, it's medium ground clearance, and it has really good handling and a low 0 to 60. No MRA, but it really doesn't matter. This is the car that you want to use in saloon events on the twistier side, especially versatile for the city street medium stuff. Now moving on to 56 is the Honda NSX, right? A high 0 to 60 for a Japanese car. High top speed, low 0 to 60, and great handling. It's a bit of a hybrid, but you can definitely get value out of the NSX. 57 is going to go to the Suzuki Ignis 1600. 57 was a tough one because the Civic Type R is fantastic. It's a great versatile car. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 1, once again, really, really good car, but we had to give it to the Ignis, man. The Ignis has great MRA. I know it has no top speed, but with that MRA and the low 0 to 60, you can still put it on a fast circuit, a hairpin road, Monaco City streets, and a quarter mile. Amazing handling, slick tires, super light, and medium ground clearance. It just has so much going for it, and it's a fantastic club car as well, and it even beats the 63 Volkswagen TCR on multiple track sets, especially fast circuit, which is really, really impressive. So the Suzuki Ignis Super 1600, fantastic car, definitely the best 57 in our opinion. When I say our, I mean Korn and I, because we made this list together, you know. But yeah, Subaru Crosstrek goes to 58. I mean, the Crosstrek and the Crosstrek Limited, exactly the same car. So you can also say that I have this wish list as well. Both of these are just really, really good. The main thing about it is because, like I said, lightweight is a huge factor when it comes to four-wheel drive all-surface tire cars, and these cars are very, very light, and they handle very, very well. 83 handling when you max it out, and they are very light, both coming in at under 1,500 kgs. When you think about it, like let's say the Nissan Xterra, for example, right, 2020, right, Nissan Murano, another example, 1,900. So for a four-wheel drive SUV car, a four-wheel drive all-surface tire car to be under 1,500, very, very, very impressive. Moving on to RQ59, I wanted to give it to the Nissan Sylvia, but in the end, the G37 was just slightly better because it's just the best in its niche. It was the joint best in its niche alongside the Caterham, right? One of the best ultra rares in the game, a Blossom choice. This thing is fantastic, but whenever you think about rear-wheel drive off-road ultra rare meta, you can't help but not think about the Lancia 037. Don't get me wrong, the 200 SX is still fantastic, but the best 59 in our opinion goes to the Infiniti G37. Standard tires, convertible, has a high top speed for its niche, and 89 handling. It actually handles better than the Caterham, but the Caterham obviously is a lot lighter. But when it comes to Japanese cars, the Infiniti G37 is definitely what you want to go for. RQ60 is going to go to the Subaru Impreza Wrx. Now, not a lot to choose from over here, just a worse Sylvia compared to the 59. This has a really, really poor 0 to 60, very, very slow. It just has good MRA, but that's about it. So we decided to give it to the most versatile car here, lower 0 to 60 combined with the best handling. RQ61, the Suzuki C2, needs no introduction at all. This thing is absolutely fantastic. It has it all, besides a high top speed, I guess. Now, moving on to RQ62, it's going to go to the Subaru Impreza Wrx 300. Now, I will admit that the Subaru Forester gets a lot of use because it's very, very quirky. Hutch loves their quirky cars, but in terms of usability, I do use the Wrx 300 even more. Now, in terms of like, if you put the Subaru Forester and the Subaru Impreza Wrx in their own particular niches, this can make more of an impact. I'll give it like a 9 out of 10 in terms of how much impact it can make in its niche. This one I would give maybe like a 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. But in terms of usability, then this would be a 9 out of 10, and this would be more of like a 7 out of 10. It's a very niche car. Like when there's like I think this is considered an SUV, right? So yeah, because Subaru, sometimes they're SUV, sometimes they're estate. I have to check. But the Subaru Forester STI, like if there's an SUV event where you have to use performance tire cars, like it's an SUV event where the track sets are all dry, then yeah, those are those kind of quirky events where the Subaru Forester will shine. Not to mention there's a very low 0 to 60, but outside of those events, I'd rather stick to the Subaru Impreza because it just handles a lot better. 83 to 80, I mean the same RQ, that's night and day. Moving on to RQ63, it's going to go to the Lancer Evo 4. Needs no introduction, right? One of the best ultra rares in the entire game. RQ64 as well goes to another one of the best ultra rares in the entire game. Top 3 for sure. The Subaru Legacy BW 6.1 to 60, 78 in handling. You get this thing maxed out. 4-wheel drive, standard tires, 5.0 0 to 60, 86 handling, saloon, 5-seater, petrol. You can use it everywhere in events, everywhere in championships, everywhere in single player, everywhere in clubs. The Subaru Legacy BW, one is the best ultra rares, one of the best ultra rares in the game. Moving on now to epics. Okay, so for epics, 65 was actually really easy. The Nissan Bluebird is not only the best 65 Japanese car, in my opinion it's the best 65 RQ epic in the entire game. It's a Colorado killer. It's also a Raptor killer. Handles really well, has a saloon niche, 4-wheel drive, off-road tires, and medium ground clearance. Just don't put it on a motocross track and you'll be fine. Moving on to 66, it's going to be the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport. Now, not a lot of good cars to choose over here. This thing should be an ultra rare, this thing is just poor, and this thing is just a piece of crap. So, and that's also 67, not 66. So, the Infiniti Q50, we gave it to it because it's a saloon, has a low 0 to 60, the MRA is decent, and the handling, although it could be better, is good enough. 91 handling when you max it out. I actually have it maxed, and I do get value out of it, especially in saloon events. The 67 is the Infiniti Emerge E. Infiniti Emerge E is just a better Cobra SVT, right? It handles really well, low 0 to 60, no top speed, but that don't matter. It's a twisty car, it knows what it wants to be, and it's really good at that. 68 Infiniti G35, nothing much to say about this one. We didn't really have a lot of great choices to choose from. We went for the most versatile car in the end. Once again, Corn said that this was just the best one, not the best, I think it was the MRA 0 to 60 is the best hybrid car. Moving on to 69 is your best Japanese all-surface tire car, non-prize in the game, in the Infiniti QX70. Amazing handling, just amazing. Remember when this used to be ultra rare? Yeah, I wish I got it as an ultra rare, but this thing is absolutely fantastic. 87 handling, 4-wheel drive, and all surface, but it is heavy. It is heavy. Now moving on to RQ70, we are going to give it to the Mitsubishi Lancer, just because it handles the best out of everything over here. 71, once again, the Subaru Wrx STI, because it handles the best. 72 is gonna go to the what do you call this? The race car, the RC car. Yeah, that's right. The RC car, the Suzuki GSX R4. It is a very lightweight car, coming at 640 kgs, 86 handling, 4.0 0 to 60, low 0 to 60 high top speed. It's a great hybrid car. It does hurt not to choose the R34, especially for Cord. 73 is gonna go to the Infiniti M56. Now the Infiniti M56. Corn says that this is the best because it has a very low 0 to 60, 3.9 0 to 60 for a standard tire. Okay, yes, that is impressive. The handling is okay as well. It's a saloon. I mean, I guess out of the competition, it was either this or the Subaru Impreza or the WRX from what was it? Year of the Tiger? Both of these were very poor anyway, so we just decided to give it to this one because it was more niche and you can use it a bit more.
Now, here's 73. For me, 73 is the Infiniti.
Really?
Because it is the best standard tire car for Japan. There's no other car better than that car for Japan. Acceleration, handling, rear-wheel drive, medium, sedan, 5-seater, all of the above. It's the best.
Is it the best standard or the best rear-wheel drive standard?
The best rear-wheel drive standard.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'll give it to that as well, because these two 73 Imprezas are freaking underwhelming anyway.
Yes, they are compared to the other ones around it. Yes.
Yeah, so
that thing does 3.9 0 to 6.
But I mean, that probably doesn't have the MRA anyway, right?
It has the MRA.
What's the MRA on it?
For a standard tire car, yes, it has it. So 3.9 0 to 6. I have two. I'm thinking I might make one dress.
For instance, the Subaru Impreza RB320, it loses to the 1 mile to the Hell Sushi. And if you don't know what the Hell Sushi is, as I like to call it, it's actually the 10 RQ cheaper, the Subaru Legacy STI S401. So this thing actually has MRA. If I drag spec this, it's able to beat the Epic on a 1 mile. Maxed, by the way, maxed. Yeah, moving on now to RQ74. It's going to be the WRX STI. It's the only one there, so it gets it bye-bye. And then 75 is the Impreza Wrx STI. Once again, the only 75 here because this is a prize car, so it kind of just wins the award by a bye. And then 76 is the Suzuki Hayabusa. I mean, this car needs no introduction. This is the JPT Mazda Furai, right? Very lightweight, decent handling, decent MRA, very good handling, and a low 0 to 60 of a high top speed. Moving on to honorable mention for 76 would be the Q50, the Q60 Black S. Moving on to 77 is going to be the Nissan Sylvia JGTC, low 0 to 60, amazing handling, slick tires, and a very lightweight car. And then there is not a single 78, so we move straight to 79, which I thought was going to be a debate between the Furai and the Lancer Evo, but Korn said hands down the Lancer Evo was the best. And I mean, I can't argue with that, because in terms of usability, Hutch will always find a way to kind of annex the Furai, but they can't annex the Lancer Evo X. The only time Hutch can make a Japanese event that annexes the Lancer Evo X is if they said ×5 no Lancer Evo X. This thing has just too many little niches where it's gonna pop up everywhere. Medium ground clearance, 5-seater, saloon, it's a petrol, handles well, low 0 to 60, Japanese, it's just a jack of all trades car, but also master of everything. There is a phrase where it says jack of all trades, master of none, but the Lancer Evo X is a jack of all trades, master of absolutely everything. The only thing that you cannot put this on is on the drag and the test bolt, because it has no MRA and it has no top speed, but it's got the 0 to 60, man. It's got the 0 to 60. The Lancer Evo X, fantastic little car. Now we move on to Legendaries, where everything is pretty self-explanatory. The Nissan, the only one there, so it wins. The Subaru, the only 84 there, so it wins. 85, we gave it to the Sylvia just because it handles better MRA, lower 0 to 60, and same top speed, also very, very much lighter compared to the Nissan Skyline. 87, obviously the GTR, the only one there. 88, the Nissan R381, the only one there. And obviously 89, we gave it to the Nissan Nismo because 100 MRA, high top speed, and it handles very, very well. Now, when I made this video with Cord, he wanted to choose the Juke. But the thing about the Juke is, it's gonna lose to the Lancer Evo X. It might be the Lancer Evo X if you max it out, but the problem is I don't know if that's true because nobody has actually maxed this out, because why would you? It's expensive. And you can just use the Lancer Evo X, the 10. So yeah, we gave it to the 100 MRA Nissan Nismo. 89, we're gonna give it to, oh yeah, 89 is already selected. 90 is gonna go to the Nissan GTR. All these prize cars are getting me lost track now. GTR 90, the only one there. GTR Track Edition for 91, it's also the only one there. It's a really good car though, great handling, low 0 to 60. And then 93, obviously the only one left, the last one left, is the Nissan R390 GT1 race car. And outside of that, everything else is a prize, so they don't count. So that is going to be it. That is the best Japanese car for every RQ non-prize from RQ10 all the way to 100. So let me go to my cars, let me select status, and let me select, where is it, wish listed. Actually, I'll just show you all the wish listed cars in total because they're just all Japanese cars. Oh, once again, I need to go to all cars. So this is the entire list in its entirety, as you can see. If you want to pause the video at any time, once again, this is our opinion, but I would say this is a pretty good list, a pretty accurate list, a pretty strong list. Of course, we gotta pay homage to the best car in the entire game, in the world. But yeah, it's a good list. I think I have all the super rares, right? Yeah, I have all the super rares, and I have all the ultra rares, which is, you know, very good to see. Epics, I am missing a couple for sure. I've wanted this for so long, man. But I'm probably not gonna max it out anymore. I wanted it as an ultra rare. This thing, once again, it was a buy. It's not that good of an epic, but you know, it's the only one there. I need this in my life. I really, really need this in my life, man. My goodness. And obviously we end up with the legendaries. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it. I hope you found this video helpful. The next episode in this installment is going to be France. Sacre bleu. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville Atlantic. Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night.